You always refer to my case as being one of the most trivial, and yet it has kept so many officials busy. Early 20th century Bohemian writer Franz Kafka had a knack for producing novels about nightmarish bureaucracies where all the will, verve and cunning of the individual was powerless in the face of the overwhelming complexity and circularity of officialdom. Others believe he was writing about the UK planning system circa 2023. Yes, that's how it can seem for many first-time renovators as they start to get into the, oh my god, this is complex planning process for their new home extension. And look, having done 7,500 projects dealing with local councils up and down the country, us folk here at Resi know a thing or two about what projects need the vital A-OK or not. So let's dive in deep and see if we can answer what on the face of it seems like the simplest of simple questions. Do I need planning permission? You may think, as soon as you start adding new structural features to your property, you'll need the benevolent assent of a council of Jedi-esque leaders sitting in a brutalist government building somewhere up in Holborn. But the truth is that would take a tremendous amount of government time and effort and money, and frankly, nobody can be asked sifting through 100,000 applications for garden sheds. So for our sins, us citizens were granted something called permitted development rights. This means so long as your home is in a listed building or a flat or in a national park, a World Heritage Site, or weirdly the Norfolk or Suffolk Broads, then you have a chance of building an extension without planning permission. So if you're not in one of those areas and your local council hasn't also removed some permitted development rights using an Article 4 direction, and your permitted development rights weren't removed as part of a planning condition applied to certain new builds in the past 20 years, and your house or flat wasn't created through permitted development rights in the first place and you're looking to extend again, if you're not any of them, then you can probably use PD to extend to some extent. But what can you extend and how much? Therein lies the next rub. So you've passed the Squid Games level 1 and 2 of the initial permitted development qualification, and you're still alive. Congratulations! But now we get to qualification by planning type. Under Part 1 Class A of the General Permitted Development Order, single-storey rear extensions, double-storey rear extensions, and single-storey side extensions can all be built without planning permission. But now for yet more T's and C's, skip ahead to the bit you're interested in if you don't want to hear it all, because it is a lot. Rear and side extensions must sit to the rear or side of the house, not the front, don't be cheeky. Rear extensions must not extend beyond the rear wall of the existing house by 3 meters if it's an attached house or by 4 meters if detached. They must use similar building materials to the existing house, take up less than 50% of the size of the land around the original house, original being the latest when the property was built, or if it was built before 1948, then as it stood on the 1st of July 1948, or the day in which New York's Mayor William O'Dwyer banned pinball machines across the city. Fun fact for you. They must be less than 4 meters in height or less than 3 meters in height if within 2 meters of a property boundary, have eaves and a ridge that are no taller than the existing house. When combining a side and rear extension to form a wraparound, the permitted development restrictions will be judged against the criteria for both extensions individually, making it quite unlikely for your project to fall under the permitted development rights. For instance, side extensions are only permitted for development where they are less than half the width of the original dwelling, but when combining a side and rear extension in this manner, it will likely exceed half the width of the original dwelling. While you may be able to create something small within your permitted development rights, the space a full wraparound demands plus all the structural work involves makes it quite unlikely as a candidate for the permitted development route. Like, just get planning permission at this point, it's way easier. Now let's look at 2-storey extensions. No windows are allowed in the wall/roof slope of the side elevation in additional stories. They must make up less than 50% of the width of the original house. They must also be less than 50% of the size of the land around the original house, must also use similar building materials to the existing house, and have eaves and a ridge that are no taller than the existing house. Finally, single-storey homes are excluded from the 2-storey permitted development route, so don't go try turning your cozy Cotswold bungalow into something straight out of Canary Wharf without anyone noticing, because they will. Now for loft conversions, and
gosh, this is a long one.
Good luck. Loft extensions have an allowance of 50 cubic meters additional roof space for detached and semi-detached houses. You've got to use similar building materials to the existing house. The development must not include a window in any wall or roof slope forming a side elevation of the dwelling of the house. The roof pitch of the principal part of the dwelling must be the same as the roof pitch of the existing house. You need a dormer wall that is set back at least 20 centimeters from the existing wall face, and to have windows that are obscured or frosted and non-opening if less than 1.7 meters from the floor level. And we have not even touched upon the rare, rogue and incredibly complex PD rights for adding a new story onto your house. I'm just not going to go there. Finally though, you can use permitted development on garage conversions, but all the work has to be internal and you can't enlarge the existing structure. Okay, that was somewhat clear, but now things go all higgledy-piggledy. If you want to extend further without applying for the full planning permission route, up to 8 meters at the rear for detached houses and 6 meters for all other houses, then you'll need to apply for something called prior approval, and this is not, I repeat, not planning permission. Although you are asking for permission to proceed with your plans, so semantically, yes it is. We've transgressed Kafka and gone straight to Orwell here. 2 plus 2 + 5? Prior approval is like planning permission light, essentially. You need to send an application detailing your proposed project, including a site plan, as well as the addresses of adjoining properties, including at the back of your property. And after you've done that and paid your local authority fee, then your neighbours will be consulted on the proposed extension over the next 21 days. If no one cries foul, then this will be taken as a positive sign and taken into consideration for the approval of your project. The reason prior approval is different from planning permission is because the council can't take any other issues into account. So the whole thing has a touch less scrutiny than the full route, and so in that regard, it may be worth considering. We're nearly at the point where we can wrap things up, but before we go, let's talk quickly about lawful development certificates. These aren't legal requirements, but they are incredibly worthwhile to obtain. The certificate essentially proves to both your local authority and future buyers that your project was legal at the point of construction, that it adheres to all the permitted development, UK building regulations and other restrictions. Many future buyers will be wary of purchasing an extended property if there's no proof the build was legal. This is because if your extension gets found to be a fraction too big, your loft design a smidge outside the guidelines, then you could face not only some hefty fines, but could even be made to demolish the work. Just ask these folk.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
In England, lawful development certificates cost around £100, roughly half as much as a planning permission submission, and you'll have to wait up to 8 weeks for a decision. I told you, do I need planning permission wasn't a simple question. But it would be remiss of me not to highlight that at Resi, in addition to being the UK's largest home extension company, we also have a full planning team staffed by ex-council officers who we've rescued from across the country. If you're looking for someone to take all of this off your hands so you can just extend easy, then we can more than help without costing the earth. If that is of interest, I've left a link to where you can schedule a free advice call below and just essentially talk through your project and specifically how we might be able to help. As Franz Kafka once said, in the struggle between yourself and the world, hold the world's code. Don't fight the planning, just go with the flow. And good luck.